Airbnb quietly just made a massive change to their refund policy. What little information they did put out was a bit cryptic and hard to follow. But not to worry, I studied and analyzed it, and I'll give you the entire lowdown in this week's video. Stay with me until the end of the video because that's when I'll tell you how the new policy will apply to future pandemics. Should we ever see another one in our lifetime? Oh, and if you want to talk further about this new change to the refund policy, or you have general hosting questions, join me live on Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. That's this Friday, February 5th at noon Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to another episode of Airbnb Uncovered. I'm Matt, the creator of AirbnbUncovered.com and Airbnb Superhost. On this channel, I uncover some of the best kept hosting secrets, as well as share with you everything that I've learned after hosting over 3,000 guests. My tips, tricks, and best practices are all focused on helping new hosts earn more revenue, attract the best guests, and achieve Superhost status faster. So if you're new to hosting on Airbnb, this is the right channel for you. On January 20th, Airbnb made a huge change to the refund policy. These changes apply to all confirmed reservations made after January 20th. Finally, and for once, the changes mostly benefit hosts, mostly clearing up some inequity on the host side of the refund policy equation. Specifically, these changes were made to the Extenuating Circumstances policy. As a bit of a background, the Extenuating Circumstances policy is what kicks in when a guest isn't eligible for a refund under the cancellation policy that you set for your listing. It's the policy that enabled guests to receive a full refund when the pandemic was declared in March. It's also the policy that would have granted your guests a refund if their flight was canceled, even if your refund policy wouldn't have allowed for a refund in any of those cases. So let's dig into it. Starting with the most surprising change. Guests will no longer be able to cancel and get a refund for unexpected personal circumstances. And this is huge, as Airbnb indicated that the large majority of refunds were granted for this reason in the pre-pandemic era. So what were some of the personal circumstances that would have resulted in the guests getting a full refund? Well, in the past, guests could cancel and get a full refund if they were injured or fell sick and couldn't travel, or if they had their travel plans impacted by any sort of weather event. Think of a hurricane in Florida during the fall or a snowstorm in the Canadian Rockies in the winter, which, by the way, aren't so unexpected if you think about them. Or they could cancel and get a refund if they were called in for jury duty or other mandatory government appearances, or for flight cancellations and road closures. Well, they were also still included, as well as cancellations due to governments issuing travel advisories warning against travel to a destination. And my personally most despised reason, the guests didn't get their travel visas in time or they're now expired. Under the new policy, these events do not constitute grounds for a refund, and thank God! Hosts, many of whom are small business owners, should never have been on the hook for these kinds of risks in the first place. This is the type of risk that should be underwritten by a large insurance company. Airbnb says it's working on travel insurance for guests, but doesn't have anything as of yet. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait. And yes, all of the reasons I just mentioned, getting sick or injured, or the onset of a severe storm, they all suck. And these are terrible things to have happen to our guests. It's just that we shouldn't be required to be financially responsible for them as hosts. I think the guests should bear some of the risk, and to that end, you can assign some of the risk to them by still being able to offer a partial refund or a full refund if you really want to. But finally, you get to decide how you want to handle it instead of just opening up a message from Airbnb telling them that they've fully refunded your guest. So then what is still eligible for a refund under the new policy? Well, any reservation that was made before March 20th, 2020 that is impacted by the pandemic is still eligible. as well as other truly unforeseen natural disasters like tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and other like events which cause far-reaching disruption to essential utilities, can receive a refund under the new Extenuating Circumstances policy. As you'd also probably expect, terrible things like wars and insurrections, terrorism and civil unrest, well, they're all still included as well. And probably the best part, though, refunds will only be granted when governments block or ban travel to a destination, rather than just a government-issued non-binding travel advisory. Question: under the new refund policy, do you think that you'll still issue refunds for issues that used to be covered? Tell me in the comments below. As you can see, these are some pretty big changes to the way refunds will be handled at Airbnb. We're changing from a very guest-focused stance, where a lot of the risk was placed on the host side, and are moving to a place where the guest is going to have to assume more of the responsibility for the circumstances that affect their own lives. And that's without dragging the host in with them. And I'm not saying that as hosts we can just walk away from a situation that's unfortunate on the guest's behalf. Under this new policy, we'll still be able to issue a refund if we want to. I mean, it's just that it never really made sense that the host should lose out on revenue if a guest's flight is canceled or if they're called to jury duty. I mean, those aren't great situations, but as small business owners, we are just not well equipped to deal with those losses financially. Honestly, those risks should be covered off by travel insurance. It's just so nice that with these new policy changes, we finally get to make the choice to give a refund or not. I want to thank you again for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new about how Airbnb will be refunding guests going forward. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, do it now. That way you'll be alerted when I go live or upload a new video. Speaking of going live, I'll be live on Friday, February 5th at noon. So until my live on Friday, or next week when I'll be back with a new video that has a tip, trick, or best practice for new Airbnb hosts. Bye for now.